Table talk. When you think about the word table talk, what does it bring to mind for you? Well, if you grew up in my day, the dinner table, was the focus of the natural family. Every night, after Mom worked all day long in the kitchen, she produced this beautiful, miracle, wondrous meal for the family. And everybody sat down at the table. And that's where the unity in the nuclear family was. And everybody looked forward every day to sitting at that table. No matter what happened during the day, dinner time was someplace very special. And when you sat down at the table, everything that you did during the day, you talked about. The fun things, the good things, not so good things, how things went in school, or how did you do at the play, or whatever. And Mom and Dad would share the important wisdom that they had with their children. And the same thing happened every time we went to the table. We learned something different. And at times, the law of the family was laid down, and the rules of the house were laid down. And every aspect of your daily life was discussed at the table. So the table is a very important symbol in a family's life. It's a kind of symbol that's lost its meaning today because we don't have the nuclear family, and we don't have families where they eat together or share a meal together, which is sad. But in our spiritual life, Jesus knew the value of the table. Every time he went someplace, he shared a meal with them. He sat down at the table, broke bread, shared the cup, and then shared his story and shared his self. We see the table all the time throughout the history of Jesus' life. And of course, we see the ultimate table on Holy Thursday, when he gathers all his apostles together for the last time for his Last Supper. And at that time, what he did was he opened his heart and told them everything he wanted them to know to complete the circle of his mission. And at that time also, what he did was he took the bread, broke it, gave it to his disciples, and said, "This is my body." And he took the chalice and said, "This is my blood." And the fulfillment of those two things, body and blood, would take place on Good Friday, when with the ultimate sacrifice, he offered his life, and that body and blood were not just symbolized in the bread and wine, but actually became the body and blood of Jesus. And in the church, the center of our belief in our religion is at the Blessed Sacrament, in the Holy Eucharist. And it's sad today because many people just believe that the water and wine are just symbols, that they aren't the actual body and blood of Jesus. There's a story that one time in a parish, there was some kind of a disturbance that was occurring in the church, and so they called the cops. And when the cops came in, they did a search of the church, and they didn't find anything really that was the problem. But they brought in some search dogs. And search dogs are trained to understand where humans are. And the search dogs went through the church, but they didn't stop anywhere except in front of the altar. And they laid down in front of the tabernacle. Now, what did this say? That even the animals are aware of the presence of Jesus in the tabernacle. It's hard to believe, but it's the source of our belief that Jesus loved us so much that he was willing to go to that table and offer us a meal that would be incomprehensible in terms of anything else that we could ever have. And his divine presence is in that meal, shared at that table. His divine presence is there at all times for us at any time. We just have to accept it, and we have to go and receive it. Jesus gave us a gift at that table. And so when we think of tables, think of the divine table, the table that Jesus sat at and is willing to have you come and be part of, so that you can be part of his family, the family of the body and blood.